Okay, so today we're going to talk about obtuse angles. So, and basically we're going to investigate what is going to happen between acute and obtuse angles and how is the relationship between the two, okay? And when we're talking about sine, cosine, and tan. So we're going to just review some terminology. So when I say an acute angle, I mean it's an angle that's less than 90 degrees. When I say an obtuse angle, it's an angle that is between 90 and 180. Okay? So we're going to see how the angles that are less than 90 and the angles that are between 90 and 180, how is their primary trigonometric ratio related? Okay? So if I look at sine 20 or if I look at sine 160, is there any relationship between the two? Okay? Sine 20, the 20 is an angle that is an acute angle, right? 160 is an obtuse angle. Okay? I want to compare the two and see what would be the similar and what would be different. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do right now, we're going to get our calculator out. Start punching in sine, cosine, and tan for each of the angles. Okay? And then we're going to record them to 4 decimal places. Okay? So on the calculator, if I do sine 20, I'm going to get 0.3420. If I do cosine, it's going to be 0.9396. So round up. What's after the 6? So it's going to be 97. And then for the tangent, it's 0.36439, right? Yeah. Okay, so this is just literally by plugging into the calculator sine 20, cosine 20, tan 20. Okay, we're going to do the same for the other angles. Okay, so I'm going to write the answers down. And you guys can check them as you go, or you can write them as you go.
So you always run to the fourth one?
Yes. When you're doing sine, cosine, or tan, you always round to the fourth one.
No matter what, like any answer in any of the math we're doing, that's cosine, tan, or...
Yes. So whenever you do sine and an angle, whatever the angle is, right? Then when you enter it in the calculator, whatever answer you get, you round it to the 4 decimal place when you write it down. Okay? So you guys can copy these answers down and then we'll discuss them. It should be, yeah. It should be in that booklet right here.
This one? On the board?
Yeah. So this one, and it should be right after 1.1. Not after 1.1. No, it's right here.
Thank you.
But you don't have to copy it. I'll print it for you.
Okay.
All right. So just let's look at this table. And then let's see what you guys, if you guys notice anything. Like that table that we just filled out.
One's negative side and one's positive.
So there's,
Tangent, all of them, they're all the exact same. They
so you see some positive and some negative for the tangent.
numbers.
Same numbers, but there, some of them are positive, some of them are negative.
Happening.
Okay.
Some are the same, like the same result,
Which one?
but the sign.
The sign. Sine, we see some that have the same results. Yeah. Cosine.
Tangent and sine is the same, but for tangent we have negative 28.63, but also at the top one too, like for 88%.
88 degree. Yeah, so some of the positive, some are negative. So same for sine as for cosine and tangent, right? Where you have some are positive and some are negative. Okay. Now, what I wanna see, why? Like why would, for example, sine 88 and sine 92, right? If you look right here, why are these two give me the same answer?
Because they have the same angle between the 90.
Same angle between the 90.
Because if you
Okay. I think I understand what you're trying to say.
Obtuse? No, not 80.
Which one is obtuse? Which ones? So these are the obtuse one, right?
because above 90 is going to be 92 and less 90 is going to be 88. So they have two, like the same angle on each side.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I think I know what you
Yeah.
mean. So these are your obtuse angles, right? And these are your acute angles. And then, okay, now if you think about 88 and 92. Add 88 and 92 for me. What do they give you? Use. I have no issues with that.
88, 92?
Yeah,
180, so whatever makes an obtuse one.
that makes 180, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what other two angles would you see? Do you see that they have the same answer as well?
20 and 160.
20 and 160, they have the same answer. Can you add 20 and 160 for me?
180.
Okay. How about 41 and
So
139?
one's the same or, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're the same, yeah.
So the ones
So
that are the same
if,
with this.
when we add them, if we get 180, it means they are obtuse triangle.
No, but they're not obtuse. But when the two angles that add up to 180, they're going to give you the same trig ratios. That's what it is. So we call these angles, so the two angles that add up to 180. So if I add up 88 and 192, these are two angles that add up to 180. We call them supplementary angles. They supplement each other to make the angle 180. Okay? You see that 41 and 139, they add up to 180, right? We also call them supplementary angles. 20 and 160, they're also supplementary angles because they add up to 180. So these angles, when I do the sine of 20 and the sine of 160, they're going to give me the same answer because they're supplementary angles. Okay? The difference is that this one is an acute angle, the 20 degrees. The 160 is an obtuse angle. Okay? Now, let's look at 20 and 160. All right? So what do you notice the difference in the sine, cosine, and tan of 20 and the sine, cosine, and tan of 160? What's the similarity and what's the difference? Yeah.
It's negative and one's negative, one's positive.
So there's some positive and some negative. So the sine is positive for both of them. Cosine, it's positive for which one? Obtuse or acute? For the acute, right? So if you see cosine of 20, it's positive. Cosine of 160 is negative, right? Tan of 20 is positive. Tan of 160 is negative. So we see that they give me the same answer. One is positive, the other one is negative. It's because one of them is acute, the other one is obtuse. Okay? So there is the relation between the acute and the obtuse. And then there's some. With the obtuse angles, you're going to see negative cosine and negative tan. Okay? Let's talk about, let's fill out this chart here. and then you'll discover it more. Okay? So, supplementary angles are two angles who sum up to, what's 180. So, complete the chart for each set of supplementary angles, acute and obtuse, round to 4 decimal places. Okay? So if I have the acute angle at 56 degrees, what would be my obtuse angle? What do I do to find the obtuse angle?
100 minus 56.
That's right, 180 minus 56. So what do I get when I do 180 minus 56?
124.
All right, so my two angles are 56 and 124. Not today, we're going to do it tomorrow. I'll send it to everyone. Okay, sine 56. What is sine 56? Okay, so 0.8290. Can you find cosine 56 for me?
0.559.
Does it round up?
2.
Yep. And then tangent?
1.4825.
26. Good. Okay, put your calculators away. And look at me. So, I found the sine, cosine, and tan of the acute angle 56. I know that 56 and 124, they're supplementary angles because they add up to 180, right? You agree with me? Okay. Now, without using the calculator, can you tell me what would be sine 124?
Negative 0.829.
Is it going to be negative? What did we say about the sine of all the angles?
They're all the same.
They're all positive. They're all positive. So it's going to be exactly the same. It's not going to be negative. It's going to be 0.8290.
The cosine, tangent, or negative, right?
That's right. Yep.
So the sine's always positive.
I haven't talked about that. It's going to be in the, I believe it's going to be in the next lesson, and I will explain all of that.
That's how I did it.
Yes. And then if you look at the next lesson, it's in the next lesson. Okay? All right. Now, cosine. Cosine 124, what would it be? Negative. So it's going to be negative 0.5592. Okay? Tan 124, it's going to be negative 1.4826. So what we've seen right now, we've seen that the two angles, right, the 56 and the 124, they're supplementary angles. Sine is going to be positive, cosine is going to be positive, and tan for the acute angle, but it's going to be negative for the obtuse angle. Are we okay with this? All right. It's because right now we're doing investigation. We're not actually doing the lesson. Basically, we're investigating. We're just plugging things in the calculator. Okay? So, what I want you to do right now is I want you to do the same thing for this table. So my obtuse angle is 130. How can I find my acute angle?
Because 90, then 130 minus 90. 150. 120.
180 minus 130, right? Because they have to add up to 180 degrees. So if you do 180 minus 130, which gives you 50 degrees. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to do, which one do you want to do? Do you want to do sine, cosine, and tan of 50? And then we can fill out the other table. Okay? So sine of 50 is,
0.766.
okay? Cosine?
To be negative, right?
No, cosine of 50.
0.6427.
Okay. Tangent of 50. Now you don't have to use a calculator, you just have to copy them. Sine is going to be exactly the same. Cosine is going to be negative that. And then the tangent is going to be also negative. Now, the question is asking which pair of angles in the table from question number 1 are supplementary angles. So we've already talked about that. I'm just gonna answer the question. So if you go back to the table, I said that I'm just gonna show you here. So we talked about that these are supplementary angles, so the 92, the 88, and the 139, 141, and so on and so forth, right? So we're just gonna write that down here. Now, the question is, what did you notice was the same about the trig ratios of the supplementary angles? Well, how would you answer this question? What did you notice was the same?
Sine,
The sine was the same, right? How about the cosine and tan?
the negative.
They're the same, but they're negative each other, okay? So we've noticed that. Did you also notice that, I'm just going to go back here, okay? Did you also notice that if you look at the acute angles, right, all sine, cosine, and tan are all positive, right? So if you have an acute angle, you know that sine, cosine, and tan are going to be positive, okay?
So whatever we do, let's say it's acute is going to be positive, right?
Unless it's a,
Or I mean, all
Obtuse?
the acute angles are going to be positive.
yes, sine, cosine, and tan for acute angle is going to be positive, okay? And then we have noticed that the sine ratio for supplementary acute angles and obtuse are the same.